funny. Wow. That was uproarious. Morning. It's good to be here. I have a slap to give you this morning, but I've padded it with all sorts of nice things. So when it comes, it's because, oh, thank you. You know. No, it's really not a slap. It's where do I want to start here? Well, when I was over there, when I come, as often as possible, wherever I go, I kind of like to not sit in the front. Because when you sit in the front, people go, oh, there's the speaker. Why do you sit down early? Does he have a heart of worship? What's wrong with him? He didn't raise his hands the entire time. I don't think I want to hear from him. Or he stood there the whole time with his hands up. He's so spiritual, he's not practical. You know, there's something. Am I serious? Am I right? Don't we look at the guy or the gal that's up here and go, huh. So I sit back somewhere and I just kind of take in the spirit of the place, and because I am no different than anybody else that walks into this place. My titles are Honey, Dad, and Papa. So that's what I go by. That's what I want to be known by to the day I die. If they want to add some other things, I got some nice titles that I actually use in certain places when I call restaurants. Hello, this is Dr. DuPre. And I can get away with it. So there you go. Or airlines. Oh, excuse me, doctor, thank you. If someone gets hurt on the plane, would you help them? Absolutely. It's in theology, but yeah, I'll pray for them. As they're going out, what are your thoughts on the eschatological viewpoint? And never mind. So anyway, as I was sitting there, I felt that there were some people that were struggling in the last quarter of business. And so if you're here this morning and the last quarter has been a struggle for you, I don't want to embarrass you, but if you either want to raise your hand, stand up, or shout, absolutely. If the last quarter has been a tough financial quarter, I just want you to stand up. Go ahead. I know, I've stood up for these many times. Actually, I'm standing right now. No. All right. Do you know these people? Yeah. Do you love them? Like most of them? Or you love all of them? Good. Then I want you to gather around them and I want you to pray for them. So if you're near them, you go over and you start praying for them. And here, let's not do this. Did this last night. Don't do the in the middle of a crowd prayer, which is you go over and just okay. And you're waiting for the one person to pray out so that you can agree with them. Your job then is to agree. Okay. I want you to go over and everybody pray loud all at once. All right? That's how they pray in Korea. That's how they pray in Japan. That's how they pray in Eastern Europe. May we bring it here. This is good. We want the financial bonds broken. Oh, I love this. That's it. Come on, ramp that up. Everyone. Every hand expressed, every mouth lifted. This is good. Thank you. So, Lord, we agree with you will prosper as our soul prospers. Not just for ourselves, not to be consumed within, but so that your kingdom would be extended and expanded. And that because of this morning, multitudes will know your name that didn't know your name before. And because of this morning, multitudes will find healing in their body, soul, and spirit. Marriages will be reunited and strengthened just because we stood for 2 minutes and prayed. So let it happen in Jesus' name. And they all said, Amen. Yahoo. Yahoo. Yeah, why not? I think, when they were speaking Aramaic, there had to be some word for Yahoo in Aramaic. I don't know. I got to look that up sometime. What's the Aramaic for Yahoo? I've been called a Yahoo. Somebody's going to tell you that I have product out there. There you go. How's that for sales job? There you go. I'm not a salesman. Matter of fact, I got fired once from a sales job. I worked in surgery for 5 years, and the guys would come in with medical sales, and they'd say, "You'd be a perfect salesman. You're just gregarious." And then I started selling medical products, and they said, "Well, what's wrong?" I said, "I really don't like to separate money from people." And they said, "Well, you're not going to be very good as a salesman." So here's my one and only sales job for the table. I love the stuff on the table. I got a book about my father, The Wild Love of God. I just spent time out in California with the guy that helped write the book, The Shack. He was the publisher of the book and produced the movie, and that puppy's in process. I just finished the screenplay for it. So about my father, World War II, pray for that. That I just think the Lord seems to be on that at the moment, and some other stuff there. But I wanted to play. Can I play you 53 seconds of a song? Now, no one has CD players anymore. I took up a CD. I said, "Do you have a CD player to play this?" They looked at me like, "CD player?" What did you say? What do you think he said? Do you have it on a tape or an 8-track? I think that's what he said. Some beautiful sarcastic answer, which I actually fell in love with. I thought it was great. I said, "Well, I can pull out my old VHS tape and see if it's there somewhere." How many rode around in a car with an 8-track? Yeah, you're old. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, get ready to crank up the mic here. I'm going to play 53 seconds. There's a couple of. I was going to say a couple of tapes. There's a couple of CDs. Musical composition packages that are out there that are soaking. I did some live stuff. I did some other stuff. And I said, I just want to take some. So I got my favorite keyboard player. He's the best. He's actually the keyboard player for Bethel Music. But he used to be my keyboard player back in Kansas City. And I got him, and he did an hour's worth of 12 of my songs, and it's just so beautiful. And then I had him and another, if you've ever heard of Julie Meyer, her son Isaac is a guitar player. Isaac played acoustic guitar, and a guy named David Breimer played violin and cello. And so the Timeless CD is violin, cello, and my friend on piano. By the way, is it Joanna? Was that her name playing cello today? Where is she? Oh, awesome. There's always room for cello. Now, some of you that are younger won't get that, but there's the old Jell-O commercial. There's always room for Jell-O. There's always room for cello. You did just a beautiful job today. So sensitive. More. So, anyway, I took a song. At the end of it, I decided to take 53 seconds and make the reprise of the CD. So let me turn this up so it's actually, and here it is. This is the only way I can play it. That's Luke. Comes David. So that took us a year to do. Some people take 9 months to birth things. For men, it takes a year. I wasn't going to read these this morning, but they just opened up to it. And so I read them last night. I'm going to read them again. My apologies to those that were here last night that have to hear you know how church announcements come out every now and then? And they're, real church announcements that never should have been written? So a latest batch of church announcements just came that I just thought were priceless. And so I won't, at the evening service tonight, the sermon topic will be, what is hell? Come early and listen to our choir. The sermon this morning will be, Jesus Walks on the Water. Tonight, please join us for Searching for Jesus. These are real church bulletins. Oh. We had one in our church one time that somebody had a misspelling, and it went through. And when it came to Sunday morning, we could not pass any of them out because the word they misspelled, I can't tell you. No one got a bulletin that morning. That would have been great on here, but they'd never put it on there. Don't let worry kill you off. Let the church help. Some of you are going, amen, amen. For those of you who have children and don't know it, we have a nursery downstairs. So, in case you don't know you have children, this is my favorite one. The Low Self-Esteem Support Group will be meeting Thursday at 7 p.m. Please make sure you use the back door. All right, well, God bless you. Thank you. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody actually stopped at that point? No, okay. Well, thanks. I've been talking to your pastor. You call him Pastor Jamie. I've just known him as Jamie. It's really hard, so I apologize if I just blurt out Jamie. Will you forgive me if I just say Jamie? I know it may not be politically correct here, but I'm not really that politically correct, as you've seen already. But it's an honoring thing, and I want to make sure when I go into a place, I'm honoring people the way they need to be honored. But every now and then I slip. Like a friend of mine, I have two friends that decided at age 40, 45, or 50 that they were going to change their name back to their original name. The name their parents gave them, and I've known them all their life, is, Billy. Now he wants to be William. And he's Billy. He's been Billy since 1972. And now in 2017, I have to change to William. And so every now and then it's, oh, Billy, it's William. No, it's Billy. You're going, as she said, you're going through a transition. By the way, your parking lot's gone to pot. I'm so... Last time I was here, it was smooth, and I come in this time, there's stones and rocks, and almost twisted my ankle, and just so disappointed. But when you go through an enlargement, and you go through a building, you go through a change, it's disruptive. It's one of those main times in your life, when they saw all the different factors, you have a parent die, or you're moving, or you have a job change, and you go through the list of that kind of a thing. And so I had a job change May 1st, and I'm moving now. So actually, literally, I'm sitting back there this morning, and my real estate agent goes, what kind of, literally, the question was, what kind of inspection do you want us to do? And I'm like, all is for your glory. All is for inspections. I don't care about inspection. But I had to answer him because he's got to get it and get going so the guy comes tomorrow to do the inspection. And so it's disruptive. It changes things around. You have to park further away. I don't want to park further away. I've been a part of the church for years. I should not have to park further away. Do you know that there are people I slap you nicely, but there are people in here that think that you're entitled to not park further away. You're laughing, aren't you? Yeah, it's for the old people. And then one of the elderly doesn't get in. It's like, oh, I'm old. I should be able to get close. And well, there's no room. I know. A 40-something took my spot. Well, he's got like 9 kids. You know, this is the church. If you're going to have a bunch of kids, this is the church to do it. It's oh, we're a funny people. In disruption, and it's all there. And so I felt about 2 or 3 weeks ago when he asked me to come for this weekend. They're gone for the month, and they're touring with their family. And I just bless them. That is such a wonderful thing. I just love that family, and I want them to get it refreshed in every way possible. I want them to get closer than they ever have been before. I mean, that's what this is all about, because they come back empowered. That empowers this place. It really does. And so we make sure you just pray for them every day and just ask God to bring refreshment, vision, to re-envision them about things, to just whatever is on your heart to pray for them. But when we begin to go through something, we either become entitled, we hold on to what was, because we like what was. We like what is. Am I right? We like routine. And, you know, if you go to a certain store and you park in an area and you can't park in that area and you have to go a little further back, you're a little ticked off. Oh, come on now. It's like the woman that pulled into the parking lot. Oh, Jesus, you've helped me before. Help me again to find a parking place. It's really close. Oh, Lord, you know, I'm tired today. I don't want to walk that far. And then she sees the spot and she goes, oh, never mind, Lord, I found one. We want to include him and say thank you. And so through this process, I think God's looking to draw you closer together, not further apart. And in a nutshell, that's where I'm here this morning, because I think the heart of God is that which takes place won't divide. It'll actually draw close, and there'll be new friendships established. There'll be deeper friendships established. Do you know that I knew this before, but statistics came out again this last week that over 50%, I think it's like 58, almost 60% of Americans, American adults, haven't made a heart-soul connection, new friend in 5 years. So in other words, the vast majority of Americans haven't made a close friend in 5 years. That's because we love sameness. We don't want things to change. If I bring somebody else into my life, something else is going to have to suffer. If I bring somebody else into my life, I was hurt by so-and-so before. I don't want to be hurt again. That is a huge one. I've been hurt. I don't want to have it happen again. And I felt like the Lord was saying, I want you to speak to them about building community in a disjointed world. About in the midst of everything that's going on, that this period of time will strengthen you. Because disruption does one of two things. People either pull together or they pull away to protect something about themselves. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to die with the same friends I had when I was 17. I love my friends. As a matter of fact, my best friend, Tom, I've known Tom since we both entered kindergarten in upstate New York in a little town called Marion, New York, 30 miles east of Rochester, and right on Lake Ontario. With lake effect snow, and we'd get anywhere from 100 to 150 inches of snow every year. I'm so glad I'm gone. And we went through, elementary school, junior high, high school together. We've been best friends since. We got saved on the same day of August 18th, 1973. And I just recently had a birthday, and he drove hours to come and see me on my birthday and stayed overnight. And We just, you don't have that many kind of connections in life. But along the way, do you just rely on what has been, or are you still looking for? My best friend doesn't care if I have other best friends. If someone replaced him, he'd be overjoyed. No. Yeah, now that I think about that. I know what I was saying. But that's what a best friend will do. He'll want the best for me. He wants the best for me. And here's the funny thing. He loves my friends. When he comes into town, we get, oh, is your buddy, is Ryan going to be there? Is Rod going to be there? Who am I going to see this time? And he just wants to connect because he loves them, because he loves me. And that's wonderful. I'm going to, before I go on, stop right now and honestly think, have I made a friend in the last couple of years, or have I not? If you haven't, ask the Holy Spirit to come and help you. Because it takes laying something down, and usually it's just time and energy. It's usually nothing huge. The friends that I have, as they've almost all said to me, I just realized that you were intentional. When they realized I was intentional, they became intentional. I called them, I texted them, I contacted them. I talked to a wife and said, hey, when's your husband free? Well, he'll be free actually on Tuesday night because I'm doing a Bible study. Great. So I contact him Sunday. What are you doing Tuesday night? Well, funny you should ask. My wife's at a Bible study. I'm kind of free. Hey, let's go see a movie and have dinner. Awesome. He's now one of my best friends. It strengthens my life. It strengthens his life. I love it. So where do you go from solitary on, and it's going to be bizarre, but I'm starting with David and Goliath. So, by the way, it's 11:18. What time is this over with? No, you see, I know that whenever you want, but somebody was very sweet. Oh, go as long as you want. But I know Christian body clock. And it goes like this. You're still talking. It's 10 to 12. And it doesn't sound like a ramp down. It almost sounds like he's ramping up. So, Lord, I just pray for the speaker right now that he'll be able to take that plane and land it in the next 9 minutes for your glory. In 1 Samuel 17, 36 to 49, I'm not going to read it. But it's the whole aspect of David and Goliath. And we read it and go, wow, this is the story of David and Goliath. I love that. It's kind of like the story in Luke 15 of the prodigal son. Oh, the chapter's about the prodigal son. No, it's not. It's about the father. And so we get to focus on the prodigal son. We become very one-string fiddle, which is someone did something wrong, someone came back, and now it's okay. And we miss the greater story that's there. And so in this particular chapter, it's not just David and Goliath, it's focus. You see, the Israelites focused on Goliath. David focused on God. You focus on Goliath in your life, and you will always be timid, you'll stand back, and you'll never fight. You focus on God, Goliath is just another lion or bear. God's been faithful. That's the whole thing about remembering. Look at the word remembering sometime in the New Testament. It's amazing how many times we're called to remember something. The reason why we remember something is because we're going to be reissued the same thing at some point in time in our life. And what, it's not a lion, I remember, well, no, it's Goliath. It's different, but it's not. It's an enemy that stands before you and before the fulfillment of your life and your call. And will you stand back, will you hold back? You know, in 1 Timothy chapter 4, Paul speaking to Timothy, and he says, don't withhold the gifts and callings that are on your life. Come on, you can do it, Timothy. I trust you. Why did Paul say that? I think Paul said that because somebody came along to Paul and he said, how's Timothy doing? He's okay, you know, but we laid hands on him. Yeah, I know, but his mom and his grandmother really run the show. Oh, okay. And so time goes on, and then Paul's going to write the last book before he dies, knowing it's the last book. He doesn't write it to the whole church in general. He doesn't write it to the church within a city. He doesn't write it to an individual congregation. He writes it to Timothy. 2 Timothy is the last book Paul ever wrote. And then he was martyred. And I just have a feeling somebody else came along and Paul's like, hey, how's Timothy doing? Well, he's doing okay. He's a good man. And he doesn't wait for chapter 4. In the first chapter, he says, Timothy, I remind you. In 1 Timothy, he says, the hands of the presbytery were laid upon you. This time he just says, forget that. He says, I laid my hands on you. Those are my hands I laid on you. I call to remembrance those things that are in you, the call, the gifts, everything. And then he says the next verse, and it's called the aspect of first reference. When was something first reference? That's when it has its primary importance. It can be used elsewhere. Like if I were to say, if you have fear, you fear of heights, and you're up in a building, and you're like, God hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. God hasn't given me a spirit of fear or power. Huh? God hasn't given me a spirit of, whatever it is, suddenly it's dark and you can't see your hand in front of your face. God has given me a spirit of fear and power. But you've got your eyes closed the entire time you're asleep, but you're okay. But at this moment, you're awake and you realize it's dark. And so we use that scripture all the time, don't we? Right, all the time. I use it all the time. But first reference is, I call to remembrance the things that are in you. It was in your grandmother's, in your grandmother. And I know they're in you. And then he says, for God didn't give you the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. The first reference is to the fear that held Timothy back from his ministry. Wow. Amen. Whatever that little baby said. I think they said amen. So all the Israelites saw, all they saw was Goliath, and all David saw was God. He saw in his mind and remembered God being faithful with a lion, being faithful with a bear. And so he had the gift, I'll put it this way, it's the gift of remembrance. Have you ever noticed that some people can remember every prophetic word they ever got? And some people can't remember their middle name? It's like, it's Christopher. I know it's B. I put it down on the airport thing. And now you're wondering, what is his middle name? I won't tell you. Okay. So he reaches down and he chooses 5 smooth stones from a stream. The stream here in 5 smooth, the stream, he reaches down in its Hebrew, it's nashal. The stream means to take your inheritance and possess it. That's what that little word means. It means to take and possess, the word stream. So he goes down and he's going to take and possess what he's called to do. And then the word for stone, it's E-B-E-N, Eben. And E-B-E-N, and Eben is a contraction of 2 words, father and son. So he comes down, he reaches down into that which is going to fulfill his call, and he pulls out, and the way you fulfill it is to partner with the Father and the Son. And so now he's got it, he's confident. And then, why stones? Why stones? Because the king's weapons didn't fit him. You all know that story. He tried on Saul's armor. It didn't fit him. One of the things that I got saved in 73, and I've been literally around the world, and I've been in every green room that's not painted green you can imagine. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago was, don't try to be the person that's on the platform. Don't try to be somebody else that's near you, somebody that makes more money than you, somebody that has a nicer car, and there's a jealousy and there's something. And what it does, it removes your ability to be thankful. Yes. And David realized, I can't fit into Saul's armor. I'm not called into Saul's armor. And then I think the Lord just kind of probably whispered to him and says, well, what can you do? He says, well, I'm pretty good with a sling. Yeah, you are. Helped you before, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Well, then put all that stuff away. Don't try to compare yourself. Don't try to do what somebody else did. What can you do? I can sling a stone. Good. That's what I want you to do. Sling a stone, because that's what you're good at. He had to stay true to himself, and he was a master with the sling and the stone. Now, Why 5? I was just thinking about this and just thought, this is some thoughts I had. It's not because David doubted God would be with him. I better take more than one. I don't think David was fearful. So, if he was fearful, he would take 50 and put them in a big bag, but he just took 5. And it's, for me, I think he never heard God say, only take 1 stone. And the reason behind that is like, David, what are you comfortable with? I think he already said, what can you do well? Then what are you comfortable with? How many do you want to take, David? And I think sometimes we put it on God to give us all the answers of what we should do. God, what should I do? I'll go down to the brook and take 5 smooth stones. I don't think David heard that. I think he was, oh, yeah, I'm pretty good with a sling. I'll go find 5 smooth stones. Why smooth? Because stones with rough edges don't fly straight. So if there's things that we have, we're looking at, I want to be that smooth stone that hits the enemy right smack in the head and then kills him. Well, you're still jagged. You're still bitter. You still hold resentment against leadership. You still are there's unforgiveness in your home against your wife, against your children, against your husband. There's jagged edges, and if you think you're going to be put into a sling and go straight, you won't go straight. As a matter of fact, you probably do damage in the process. And here's the thing, is that smooth stones aren't found in ponds. They're found in streams. There's movement, okay? There's no movement in a pond. It just sits there, and it stays, you can sit in one place and stew, and you will have rough edges your whole life. I remember being young and just seeing some people that were old. They were like their 50s. Now, seriously, if you're 50 or above, do you remember that when you were young, you thought that age was old? Who used to think that? Oh, yeah. I remember when my grandmother turned 67, I just thought, I wonder how much longer she has to live. Wow, 67. Way to go, Grandma. Wow. And she lived till 99. She got saved at 82. Yeah, Thanksgiving of 1982. I love it. No, it was earlier than that. I think it was 73. And she was 82 years old. I love it. But David I don't think, heard from God saying, just take 1 stone, David, just 1 stone. How much do you trust me? I think it was partnership. David, you're good with a sling. Now just go down there and take how many ever you think you need. And David's going, okay, I'll take 5. They'll fit comfortably in my pocket. Okay. And it was a comfort thing. I felt good. I felt comfortable. He just knew how it was to be prepared because he'd done the lion and the bear before. He wasn't a reckless fighter. He is a trained warrior. Even though no one had seen him out there, I bet nobody else in that Israeli army had ever killed a lion and a bear with a sling. And he knew what he was doing. And so you're going, okay, what does this have to do with community? It's absolutely nothing. I just like that story. No. It's each of us doing what we're called to do in the comfort of who we are. If you come into a community setting and you're vying to be someone else, to add something that they have, to want something that they have, you lose a gift of thankfulness. The minute you lose the gift of thankfulness, I will enter his gates with thanksgiving. If you don't have thanksgiving, there's another gate you're entering. Okay? And when you enter that thing, it's the gate of comparison. It's the gate of unfulfilled expectation. And it's a gate that makes you come here every week as a spectator and not as family. Do you feel the velvet on the hand that's lovingly slapping? You say, how dare you commend it? No, all I'm doing is telling you my story. I'm just telling you my story. This is me. It's in my life. I've come into places going, I want that. I want that. I don't hear the Lord saying, okay, do you know what it's going to take for you to get there? I don't care. Don't talk to me now. I just want. It's like that person in the church that drives the car you want that you don't own. Oh, you're very quiet now. Come on. I've got a 1997 Toyota 4Runner that just passed 300,000 miles. Yeah? Oh, baby. My other car is a 2008. I love my vehicles. And you know what? I have no desire to go spend a whole lot of money I don't want to have, or I have, just to get something that's newer and a little shinier. They work great. You know, we have our nice car, the 2008, the 11-year-old. And then we have the other one for bopping around town and doing what we need. It's got the nice little back, and I can put stuff in it and put flowers in. You know, I could run that car to the ground, and who cares? It's got 315,000 miles. Matter of fact, I just took it in when I went on a trip recently. I took it in to the shop, and they said, what are you doing? I said, well, I just want to give it an inspection, just see how it'll do. Because I knew it was probably coming time. At that time, I had 294,000. So I took it in, and then I went away. And then I got a phone call. I looked down, and it said, such and such in shop. I'm going, oh, no. It's time for the old booger to die and lay down. I said, hello? I said, yeah, I just wanted to tell you what you're going to need. You can tell me what you want me to do. Okay, go ahead. Okay. You need a new oil cap? I said, yeah, because you need a new oil cap. Is that it? He goes, yeah, you might want to change the oil. I said, change the oil. Give it a new cap. Let's just go full guns with it. You know? And then I did say to him, are you serious? That's all that's wrong? He goes, yeah, your car's in great shape. Because it's only the second car I've ever had in here that has 300 miles and passed inspection like this. He says, well, I'm thankful. Why do I want to go out and get a $400 a month car payment? I just bought a $67 cap. And so David, when he uses one smooth stone, how many smooth stones does he have left? 4. So it's like, well, Lord, I've got all this stuff left over. Why do I need this? In 2 Samuel chapter 21, there's another battle that's taking place. And David's older now, he's aged, but during the time when he first started out, it was just David. He was alone. He uses his gifts, and then Saul begins to attack him in jealousy. You know what goes on? And David heads out. And this group of people saw who David was. And they saw the kind of a man that he was, and they said, I want to link myself to him. And he knew how to befriend them, and they befriended him. And so he's got his mighty men that surround him. And they say 300, but there's much more than just 300. And so David is there, and in 2 Samuel 21, there's another battle that takes place. And David gets out, and he's ready to fight. And his guy's going, David, you're too old to do this. You're too weak to do this. I'm going to fight. No, we've got this. We've got this. And when you fight alone, you stand alone and you fall alone. But when you've got a community around you, when it comes time to fight and you're weak, suddenly those that are around you that know you and love you say, no, Chris, we got this. We got this. Give me the 4 stones you have. We'll take care of it from here. And what's really neat is that in that chapter, the ones that they were fighting were Goliath's 4 giant sons. David was given 5 stones, 1 for Dad, and the other 4 were for the 4 sons of Goliath, all giants themselves. Why 5? He didn't know what was coming in the future. And we don't know what's coming in the future. But what comes in the future, I want a group around that stand with me. Because I'm not always strong. And we don't know when those moments are that we're going to need them. So I've got about 15 minutes to go through. Was that just the introduction? No, it's not the introduction. It's the 1st and 2nd chapter of Acts. Okay. Another comment. about a music group that some of you won't know. But to build community in this world right now, I want to give you, I think, and I'm giving you what I'm living out, okay? These are things I look and I write them down and I say, okay, how effective have they been for me? And all I can say is this: I've been in Harrisburg for 4 years. I was in Rochester, New York. I moved to Kansas City. I was there about 13 years, 11 years in Tennessee. And in each particular case, my role was done. I could have stayed. I could have stayed in the house of prayer in Kansas City, but the Lord just literally said, take your shadow out. And so I took my shadow out. And then suddenly people like Corey Asbury and Misty Edwards and all these people that were sons and daughters of mine now had room to spread their wings. And so I was in Nashville. I helped a church out in Nashville. And when my role was done, I put people in place. Then I came to Harrisburg to help out in a situation. And so my role there, it's been 4 years. I love everybody there. We have wonderful relationships. And the Lord said, okay, your time's done. I want you to go back home. And home to me means to me family and my dearest friends. And I've got a daughter with 3 little grandkids. My newest one is 11 months old, and we just FaceTime 2 or 3 times a day, and we love it. And at this particular time in life, I want to be near them. I can do what I do. I'm a full-time writer now. I write and I do this. I do itinerant work and I write. Matter of fact, the guy that I was telling you about, he's was it this service? Did I say anything in this service, or was it the last one? Okay, sorry. It just kind of all mixed together. It's the drugs. No, I had a little headache yesterday. I had an Excedrin, and I just... But my buddy Brad that helped write The Shack, and he was the publisher of the book and the producer of the movie, he's now my writing partner. And so we're writing a book which is almost done, and it's Narnia meets The Shack. And there's some great interest. It's called the King and the Dragon, so be looking for it when it comes out. But so I'm doing that, and I can do that anywhere. So I can do that literally anywhere I'm at. I write in airports. I write in hotel rooms. I write mostly at home. But in putting these things down, I'm a very practical person. I don't know if you've noticed that already. I don't live in a pie-in-the-sky kind of spirituality where every word has to link up with its Hebraic. You know, I learned Hebrew and I learned Greek, and I'm just one of those wonderful students that forgot it as quickly as I learned it. But I know there was a lot of, and so if I say something and I say, what's it in Hebrew? I usually, and people are fine. So here, just because I'm practical, love does not consist of 2 people holding hands and walking and just looking into each other's eyes, because they'll fall off a cliff together. So I'm very practical. What are the steps I need to see and I need to take? And what are the steps that this group needs to see and needs to take? Because what's going to happen is, because I've been there before, I've been in the middle of a number of different enlargements and buildings and things, and sometimes there's some little thing that wants to enter and divide. It either brings close or it has the ability to divide. And my prayer, some of you are going, well, you're not here that often. I'm not, but I carry you in my heart all the time. And I pray for this group, and I pray for Jamie and his family, and I also pray for Pastor Jamie and his family. And Reverend Jamie and his family, and Monsignor and Bishop Jamie and his family. Community is important to the Lord. It really is. I mean, when the initial blessing came to Abraham, he said, I'll bless all the nations of the earth. Is that what he said? No. He said, through you, I'll bless the families of the earth. And the word family is, we'll know it, and familia, the word family means it's the core that gathers. So it's a core. Now, the core can be in a home. The core can be in a small group, which I would encourage you. If you're not in a small group, get in a small group. Well, I don't have the time for a small group. Well, I bet if you just give up Dancing with the Stars one night. We have these amazing things that can record events on TV. You just put that VHS tape in. Anyway, let me run through 7 of these things that I have felt, I have seen in my life that make a difference, that strengthen my community. Let me put it that. It helped create my community, it helped keeps my community going, and it expands my community in number and in strength. I want that, and you should too. Number 1, an atmosphere of honor. Is there in your life, do you surround yourself with an atmosphere of honor? I'm talking about an atmosphere of honor here, but I'm really talking to you as individuals. Do you honor those that are around you? Do you honor, I have sons and daughters all across Harrisburg and Camp Hill that I go into, restaurants that I go in. Matter of fact, the last gal we went in, my wife and I went in, and she's moving to Australia, and I knew some, hey, I know people in Australia, and they would love to have you in their home. Really? Yeah, what's your station in life? I just graduated from high school, and I want to take a gap year, and I want to go to Australia. And so I wrote down a list of people that I knew in Australia. I looked up in my phone all the contact information regarding them, and then handed it to this little 18-year-old girl who's going to take a gap year and go to Australia. And she stood there and went, I can't tell you what this means. I don't know anybody in Australia. And then her eyes just started to light up, and then she said, I have to hug you. So she hugged me, and then she hugged my wife, and then she went around the table to the couple we were with that had nothing to do with the conversation and hugged them, and then with tears in her eyes, she walked away. And so Emily is her name. And so my wife and I are going back, not because we want to have the same food again. We're going back because we want to see how Emily's doing. And so I have about 24 people or more. I have a small church and a sports bar. My friend Steve and I go to a sports bar. And this gal came over one time, and I looked at her and I said, babe, what's wrong? And she just burst into tears. And she had just gotten out of alcohol rehab and a drug rehab program. She said, I just want to make it. I just want to make it. So we took her hands and we made it look like, I said, would you get in trouble if we just, if we stood up and prayed for you? She said, probably. I said, well, good, then just put your hand down here. And she put her hand down. And we looked like I took a menu and put it in my other hand, like I was reading the menu. And I kept my eyes open, and we just both prayed for her. And now when we walk into the restaurant, she sits down. She could be in the middle of serving dinner to somebody. She sets it down, she runs over to us, gives us hugs, loves our wives. It's just, we want to include. I want to be safe. I want to make sure that she knows I'm a married man and I love my wife and all that kind of stuff. So I want to be smart and I want to be safe, but I want to live a life that honors God and honors other people. That is so important. And if you are so concerned with what you will get in a new situation, you'll never give during the new situation. So honor those in front of you, and in front of you. Be free with it. Literally, the service that I used to, when I was pastoring out in Nashville, we had 45 minutes between services. And my favorite time of Sunday, I've been a worship leader since 1973. I love worship. That wasn't my favorite time. How can that be? No, I love the Word. I've studied it. I got my little degree. Awesome, great. Yeah. But my favorite time was 45 minutes to go around and tell people why I love them. Take advantage. The service doesn't start till 10. Get here early. Don't get here at 9:57. If that's your normal time. You know what? Just ramp it back 15, 20 minutes. Oh, you don't know my schedule. Yes, I do. If you have to play golf at 8, you're out there at 7:30. I know how it works. I play golf. I sometimes have an 8 o'clock tee time. I get there. Okay? Just if it's important, you'll get there. There's people that need to hear what you have to say about them. And maybe only you can be the only one that says it. Number 2, understand boundaries. Yes, Chris, thank you. That's good. I want to put good fences up. Good fences make good neighbors. Absolutely. No. I'm not talking about boundaries you put up. I'm talking about boundaries that other people need to have to make their life and their family work. An example, one of my best friends now in Harrisburg is a guy named Ryan. I'm 20 years older than Ryan. My kids are in their 30s, and I have one that's 40. I know. You look at me going, how can that be? You're only 47. I know. I'm actually older than that, but thank you very much. But his kids are in high school. He's got one that just graduated this year, and the other two are in high school. And I can't go to Ryan and say, hey, Ryan, let's do this. Take a weekend off and let's go play golf. Let's drive down to North Carolina and have a wonderful, we'll play 36 holes a day for 2 days, and it'll be great. He can't do that. He's got kids. And I have to see his boundaries. I respect him and I honor him by understanding the boundaries that he has so that I don't make it difficult for him and his children, nor do I make it difficult for him and his wife. I don't want to do something that's going to make a husband and a wife get into an argument over my want. Does that make sense? So in a community, get to know people and understand their station in life. I'm not talking about poverty and rich. I'm talking about another situation in life. You know, if you're a college student and you have to really watch your budget, and you know you have a friend who's 5 years older and he's making $83,000 a year, and he's 27, 28 years old, and he's really doing really well. Hey, let's go. It's like, don't ask them to do that unless you want to pay. Okay? There are people that I want to go out to dinner with, but he's a missionary. One of my dearest friends, he's a missionary. He can't go out to dinner to the places that I want to go out. And they're not expensive places, but he lives on a little bit of money. So when I say, hey, what are you doing Saturday night? Why don't you and your wife come out for dinner? He goes, I've stopped waiting to say. I said, hey, I don't know what you're doing Saturday night, but I'd like to pay for the 4 of us to go out for dinner. Oh, okay, great. So I don't want to make his life harder because I want to be with him. I want to know boundaries. How are we doing? Good. Number 3, recognizing the entrance of a political spirit. During a time of transition and change, people make decisions that you might not agree with. I can't believe Pastor Jamie's doing that. I can't believe that so-and-so. I can't. You hear what my small group leader said? Did you hear? And suddenly, there's be some people that you'll go, I can't believe that Pastor Jamie did that, or he said that on Sunday morning. That seemed a little. And somebody go, yeah, I know him though. I understand. It's cool. It was fine with me. But sooner or later, if you keep leaking negativity, you'll find someone that will receive your negativity. They always find each other. People with political spirits always find each other, and then they become what I call false friends. They're not real friends. Their friendship is based on a negativity about someone or something. And when that someone or something is done, they have nothing to talk about. And they'll sit there at lunch and talk for 45, 50 minutes, and then they'll realize they have to go back to work, and they also glad because they really didn't have anything else to discuss except the negative things that were on their heart. So be on the lookout for that puppy. He wants to whisper. You know, when the enemy came to Adam and Eve, he didn't say anything definitive. It was an open-ended question. Really, did God say that? We know it as yea hath God said in the King James. But translated out, it really says, did he say that? Really? That's how it translates. Did he say that? Really? And so a political spirit always ends up with questions. And they're unanswered questions, and they go through your mind, and they you either decide, I'm not going to give them entrance, or they bring some form of division. So recognize the entrance of them and boot them out. And if you hear something from someone, lovingly say, you know what, I just don't want to go there. If that's something that you're working through, you know, I know now, so I'll pray for you because I love you. But I'm not going to be one of the ones I want you to really share that with me. So you do me a favor when that thing breaks and you get freedom, let me know. I'll rejoice with you. Till then, I'll just be praying for you. Number 4, you see relationship like a garden that needs to be tended. Oh, yeah. Oh, do you need weeding? And God sent me here just to weed you. Oh, this is beautiful. You should be so grateful that I'm in your life. Because I see things about you. Oh, this is going to be, what a wonderful relationship we're going to have. He says, no, 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 no. You weed your own garden and you water their garden. That's all you do. I'm not called to weed anybody's garden. I weed my own garden. I water their garden. That's it. That one little concept, if you can just look to yourself and say, oh, I see something negative. Okay, good. Then if I see something, there's probably something here. What is it? I weed myself. How can I water them? How can I bless them? How can I help them? How can my words make something grow? We got enough weeds in our own garden to spend time weeding somebody else. That's why he gave us the one another's, the be kind to one another, forgive one another, be gentle, be tender-hearted towards one another, prefer one another. I love that one, preferring one another. Because relationships, I don't know if you've noticed that they actually take work. But the best ones, when you're married, oh, marriage is going to be so wonderful. Actually, I was told how horrible it was going to be. Oh, that first year is going to... Can I say the word hell here? Can you see? Is that okay? Oh, I did. I just did. I had a friend of mine, a wonderful friend in ministry, said, the first year will be hell, and then you'll get to know each other, and it will be less than like that over the years. Wow. And where did you get that spirit of encouragement from? Wow. And do you actually counsel people? So, at our first anniversary, my wife and I looked at each other and go, so when was the bad part? And we just had our 41st last April, and we went, when was the bad part? Because I don't remember the bad part. Because we haven't agreed on everything, but by the grace of God, and I say this by the grace of God, we've never raised our voices at each other and yelled at each other in 41 years. Why should I? Why should I do something that's going to hurt her in her soul? Oh, but you can, oh, it's so wonderful to make up. No, it is, but then she still has to carry that wound. That's a stupid man that's going to do that. I don't want to be, and I'm sorry, some of you are out there going, he just called me stupid. Number 5. I don't have time to go through the rest of these. Oh, I'll end with this one. 5 is a good number too, isn't it? I won't get to 7. 7 is such a nice number to end on, but I'll end with 5. Open your home and break bread with one another. I love to be taken out to a restaurant. It's awesome. But when I get inside someone's home, I see their pictures. I see what's important to them. I see the things they value, what they put on the shelves, and their kids' medals and whatever it is. And I see a picture of them when they were 15 and or they were a championship skier at 21, and now I see them at 53, and I know, you used to ski? Oh, yeah, he used to ski. He was really great. Actually, he hurt himself, but he was in training for the Olympics. You what? I had no clue that. You don't find that out at a restaurant. You find that out in a home. And people are afraid to have my wife and I over because my wife's a gourmet cook. So they go, I don't want to have you over. She's like, I don't care what we eat. Let's order pizza. That's why God gave us pizza. Okay? If you're not a good cook, just put something on the pizza that you'll know they'll like. Yes, but she's gluten-free. Then get a gluten-free crust. They make them now. My wife is gluten-free, so my friends, when they have us over, they have a small gluten-free pizza, and then they have junk for the rest of us. It's awesome. And we have a great time. It's not about the food. The food's the excuse so that you can love. Break bread. Open your home. Oh, that's just not my personality. If you're made in the image of God, you're using your introverted spirit as an excuse not to let God shine through you. If somebody said, well, I'm just not the kind that likes to dance. No, but when I look over and I see you doing that, okay, that's dancing for me. That's fine. If you're doing that, then you do like movement. You do, everybody. No, I won't say that one. There, I put it back in. Don't use the excuse we're not like that. That means we're not part of we're not that part. We haven't incorporated that part of God yet into our life. That's what you're really saying. Because if it's God's nature, God so loved the world that he gave to a portion of them. No, as a matter of fact, it's the real translation is God, instead of so loved the world, the word so there means loved in this way. As a part, it was like, oh, you so love the world. No, God practically so. I do it thus, I do it so. He so loved the world that he gave. That's his nature. And if you think that your nature is not to open your home, you think your nature is not to be, I'm an introvert, and you're looking up here and going, wow, obviously that person is not an introvert. I am an introvert. Believe it or not, ask my wife. When I've done my words for the day, I love my cave time. And it took her a while to understand that I need cave time to be this person. Because if this person doesn't get that person, this person is not this person. So I understand cave time, but I also understand the responsibility of hospitality. And I understand the responsibility of not just opening my home, but being an instrument in the hand of God to know that the invitation of love is always there for other people. So do me a favor, just stand where you are, as opposed to standing somewhere across the room. I just thought about that. Stand where you are. Of course they're going to stand where they are. Close your eyes for a second, because I'm going to ask you something I don't want anybody to look. Some of you don't have your eyes closed, and I can see you. Okay, if any of these resonated with you, that you in your heart say, Lord, I need you to help me in this area, just raise your hand. Wow, awesome. Okay, put them down. Well, Lord, just set your hand on your heart for a second. This heart determines so much. Where our treasure is, that's where our heart is. That which we value, we let our heart lead us. And following in our heart is our time, is our energy, our possessions, our finances. But it follows what our heart values and deems important. And I ask now that through this time of building, of changing, a time of rearranging, that our hearts would not look to what is or what isn't anymore, but we look to the community that stands around us. That we wouldn't let one opportunity go by when we gather that we don't find 2 or 3 people to tell them how wonderful, how beautiful they are. Things about them that they just so long and cry to hear. That you'd use us to water the garden of another's heart in this place. So Lord, at a time when the enemy wants to bring division, I pray for a unity like they've never had. This place will be united. This place will be as one. This place will be known because of the love of God that exists here. So I bless them. I bless them in this area and ask you to empower them to fulfill your call, to love one another so that the world would see and know that you are real. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Can we just stay there actually one moment and I just want us to take 1 minute just to again come into alignment with the word that Chris shared with us today. Lord, that we would be a people, Lord. Right now, would you just impress upon us the need for one another? Help us to value one another, to see each other with fresh eyes, and to value the gifts, the talents, and everything that you've placed in each one of us. And Father, help us to open up our hearts and open up our homes. Lord, that even right now, you would touch places that have been hurt in the past, or that feel too busy, or feel like this isn't the season for it, that you would help us to see. Help us to see who we need to invite in, how we can make time, and how we can prioritize relationships in this season. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And mostly that we would just be so sensitive to your promptings, to your leading in our lives, to what you're doing in and through each of us in this season, that we would partner with you like never before.
I am strong and full of life.
Thank you,
I am
Jesus.
steadfast.
So today we just bless the word. We bless the work that you've done in each of our hearts. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Can we thank Chris for his time and all that he shared? Awesome. There is a book table. It'd be great if he takes nothing back home with him. There will also be